Welcome to the 2025 Dialogue, a masterclass series by the HR Association of India. I am Neha Jignani, and today we are exploring a theme that resonates with every leader navigating in today's fast paced world: high performance leadership turning pressure into purpose. To guide us through this conversation, we are joined by Mallika Rao, a high performance leadership coach, mindfulness mentor, and energy psychology expert. Malika has coached over 620 leaders across IT, consulting, sales, and entrepreneurship. Her unique method blends neuroscience, mindfulness, and spiritual psychology to help leaders double productivity, reclaim their energy, and lead with clarity without burnout. Malika, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure having you.
My pleasure. I'm very happy to be here. And I always enjoy these conversations because now it is so power packed and there's so much of value we could deliver here.
Sure, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you, Malika, and I look forward to this exciting masterclass. To begin with, my first question is what's the most common trait that differentiates high performing leaders from the rest?
If you would have asked me this 1 year back, it would have certainly been different. With AI, with so much of uncertainty, and I believe now that the biggest differentiator is no more the IQ and or the technical expertise, and because of the AI, of course. I think it is more about learning agility right now. It is how fast you can learn, unlearn, or rather unlearn, and how fast can you apply what you have learned and how you can actually do that while under pressure. I think that's going to be the key differentiator among leaders. Actually, when we discussed this topic, so I was doing some research too. And interestingly, research also shows that learning agility actually strongly predicts the leadership success. Um, and especially because the leaders are managing teams which are very diverse and multi-generational at this moment, and even remote teams. So in such cases, how fast they're able to adapt and how fast they're able to move makes a lot of difference. Now, when we talk about learning capabilities, I think the most important aspect of that is self-awareness. Because most leaders think they are self-aware, but again, the research shows that about only 15% of the leaders are truly self-aware. Um, Now, when I say self-aware, it is not just about awareness of who they are and who they want to be, what do they have to deliver. It is also about emotional intelligence, to be aware of their environment, um, and the complexity of the situation in it altogether. So there's an interesting McKinsey study that has been done, and while they have backed this idea of learning agility, they also mentioned that the ability to remain calm under pressure is one of the key traits of high performing leaders. So that sums it up. I would say right now the learning agility is one, self-awareness is second, and the third part of it, and which are all interrelated, by the way, it is the ability to stay calm under pressure.
Yes, and of course, emotional intelligence is linked with how self aware you are. So, thank you so much. Beautifully put, Malika. My next question is: how can leaders maintain peak performance without sacrificing their well being or personal life?
So I want to ask you a question here. You come from HR background, and from your perspective, and you may have been having these conversations with your fraternity and also other um, coaches and speakers. What do you think is the biggest deterrent here for peak performance in employees?
When you say deterrent, it means the something that in
Block the challenge.
yeah. Um, I personally feel that when you thrive when you feel that you belong where you're working.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm valued at my workplace, if I'm being heard, I think that's the motivator, personally speaking. So if that is not there, I will not thrive. I will not perform, be able to give the output. So I think belongingness is the key for me, if you personally ask me.
Yeah. Perfect. That is great. And we will come to belonging part of it because it is a very important aspect right now, and especially with the newest generation, um, where we talk about Gen Z, millennials and Gen Z. The concept of belonging is a very strong aspect of their performance. I would like to go one step before that. Um, Performance actually comes when you put your effort in the right direction, right? As a person, personal level.
Right.
Um, I would say when I work with a lot of leaders from corporates, what I see is one of the things that I see them repeating or complaining about is the back-to-back meetings. Yeah. Um, and the paradox here is the harder you push without, excuse me. Um, so the paradox is that a lot of people complain about these meetings, but at the same time, we are calling them for these back-to-back meetings. Um, and you would have more data on this as to how much of these meetings are actually valuable and you're able to bring more value to the table. In my experience, when you actually um, put a lot of accountabilities and lot of deliverables and then do not give enough time to recover from it, then your performance declines faster than you can believe. Yeah. So therefore, I would say for peak performance, recovery is not luxury. Actually, that should be the performance strategy right now. Because when you have these kind of meetings, you burn out faster by lunchtime. So, what I would recommend is, and which I do when I work with my clients, is I ask them to um, actually plug in micro breaks and mindfulness breaks for that matter. Like for every hour you work, take a 10-minute break. There was another research done on Pomodoro technique, and they have come up with a very interesting number I was studying about. They said it takes your mind about 20 minutes to focus on a certain task, given you're, prone to so many distractions. So, in order for you to get into a flow state and get some work done, it takes about 57 minutes. 57 minutes is a sweet spot. After that, you're supposed to be taking a break so that you're going to cool off your mind and body and shake off that energy so that you can recalibrate and reinvest this. So I would say that 10-minute breaks are very, very important. Um, and also long working hours. I know the corporates, a lot of corporates in HR do talk about this work-life balance too, but unfortunately, I do not see that being implemented because whoever I speak with, um, they usually do complain that no matter what it is said, they are expected to work. I'm especially speaking about leaders. They work about 12 to 14 hours. They're expected to be available even after they go back home, and they have emails to reply, and some of them genuine reasons where they have remote teams in different time zones. So I think bringing that level of mindful breaks, including the work-life balance, makes a lot of difference to the performance of the employees.
So it's all about drawing that line, if I may say, and which is why they say true performance is a marathon, not a sprint. So it beautifully resonates with that. My next question, Malika, is in high pressure environments, what shifts in mindset help leaders? turn stress into strategic action?
Um, this is especially true for corporates, companies where they're working or chasing high pressure deadlines,
Right.
right? I, uh, the more I see or work with these people, I realize stress is not the enemy. I think it is the neutral energy by itself. What matters is the stories we tell or the meaning we assign to it, right? So when I speak with leaders too through my coaching conversations, when they talk about stress, I ask them to go down and explain to me what exactly are they referring to when they mean this stress and what is the meaning they're assigning to it. And the moment you get very clear about, you'll actually see perhaps there are certain tasks or people or situations that the person feels very stressed about. What I feel stressed about, you may not. So that's where I was talking about self awareness being so important for you to understand what is your stress baseline, what are your triggers, and because once you understand those, you can navigate them better. And again, going back by the research, it shows that when people adopt a stress in enhancing mindset, that means do not see stress or use that word. The reason I'm saying this today is we have overused this word so much that the very thought of it actually the very mention of it, it has a negative connotation. Um, and not many would have actually done that inner work to sit down and understand when they say stress, what do they actually mean by it? What is it doing to their mind, body, and energy? So, the moment you start framing stress um, as an opportunity to enhance your performance, you'll actually see that you start to perform better, you learn faster, and you even experience better health outcomes when you do this. In fact, as you know, uh, stress is directly related to cardiovascular uh, health, right? So studies now prove this that if you interpret your racing heart as, oh, I'm ready, I'm excited about it, your body literally responds differently than you saying that, oh my God, I'm having palpitations, or oh, I'm really stressed about this and I'm very anxious about it. So it all boils down the words you are using to explain or assign meaning to that particular um, situation or a task. So the mind shift that is required at this moment is this, that when you name the stress, understand what do you mean by stress and what stresses you the most, then claim that energy. And once you reframed that, you use that energy to fuel for action and channel it towards taking the best next step. And that could create a lot of, uh, it will certainly improve the performance.
Sure.
Because, for example, if you see an athlete who's going to be in the racetrack and he's about to race and he has to run the fastest. While standing there, he could actually frame that stress as, oh my God, I'm going to break down. Oh my God, my heart is racing and my blood is pumping right now. And then what if I fall down? What if I pass out? What if I don't? The moment you get into all those I mean, that kind of meaning in story and narrative, then it is going to work against you. You'll actually see your energy slumps faster. So, in high performance, which mostly we work with athletes, you'll actually see when you look at the stress and your body's response, the kind of narrative you're creating in your mind, that is where you'll actually take all that adrenaline rush and then channel it towards your action. And you will see that you will perform far more better than you would otherwise.
Sure.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I could gather that it's more about what dialogue that you have with yourself in pressure situations. And of course, the key is to understanding your stress, your definition of stress, and then, establishing an understanding of how to be able to tackle that. But that inner dialogue is key to make that internal shift. So thank you so much for that. My next question,
Yeah.
Malika, is how do you build a culture of high performance within the team without creating burnout?
So this is where I will actually speak about, you so beautifully mentioned about belonging. So I believe culture is built at that intersection of those two forces, that is psychological safety and high standards. Um, because psychological safety is, like you rightly mentioned, it's the number one factor for people's effectiveness at work, right? The moment they feel, people feel belong, they feel safe and secure, they actually are not watching their back. In sense, they don't have to feel guarded, and they just now relax and start focusing on getting the work done. Because Google's project Aristotle, it actually proved that psychological safety is directly the most important factor in team effectiveness and performance. There's one more person's work. I think it is Amy and Monson's. I can't recollect the last name, but her work shows that safety without the accountability is actually is a recipe for disaster. Because the moment you create safety without creating any accountability and responsibility, it actually puts people in the comfort zone and when there is no performance. This is especially true. Actually, I came across this work when I was studying about boundary setting in children, in teenagers. And this is very true even in corporate setup. The moment you create safety without setting up a proper accountability systems, then you're creating comfort zones. And again, the opposite is also true. When you create a lot of accountability without any safety, without a sense of belonging, then that leads to fear and burnout. So neither of them that actually works, and that's why this is a beautiful combination of um, a psychological safety and setting up accountability, and also setting up high standards. So the sweet spot is when we create this learning zone where people feel safe to speak up, they feel safe to voice their ideas and opinions, where actually creativity thrives. They're allowed to experiment, and they're, most importantly, they're even allowed to fail, but they're held to high standards of delivery. That's when we'll be able to create that culture of high performance. And all these studies, the research that I just named, I think it is Amy Edmondson. Yeah, that's her name. So her work also points out at the same sweet spot. So what it means practically is that leaders must normalize failing forward. That means it's okay to fail, um, but you make that improvement and going forward. Ask more learning questions. That is where we actually support the learning agility in people. And you also create rituals of recovery. That means you're not stuffing people's calendars with too many meetings and deliverables without any breathing time in between, because that's a sure shot of burnout. So allow them some buffer breaks, give them some off hours. And I know I have worked in HR many years back, uh, having these leaves and ensuring that employees utilize those leaves. And that was actually better for the process agility also. So ensuring these things are being done and allowing reflection time as well. A lot of companies do create these leadership programs and stress management programs, burnout prevention or recovery programs. These are wonderful. Um, where I see these are reflective activities, if you ask me. Where I see the challenge here is when you do them as a band-aid process and not create a systematic process of consistent um, touch points and workshops. When you don't do that, when you do it as just offhand, one of, when there is a problem, when there is fire, you create a workshop, you tick off the boxes, it's not going to give you the kind of results that you want. So the three things that I have mentioned to you just right now, creating the psychological safety with accountability, and holding up to the high standards, creating environment of learning, and creating these rituals of recovery, they all matter the most. And when they are followed consistently, that's where the culture is built.
Sure. Thank you so much, Malika. So I could also gather that it's also about balance, ambitious goals versus embodying that trust, flexibility, recognition. It automatically fuels to a culture where people thrive. So thank you so much for that. This brings us to the last question. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, when you summarized it so beautifully, the rule is this simple: be hard on standards, kind to human. And that's how you're going to sustain both performance and people, because both are important.
Well,
Um, yeah, retention and having the right people working and staying with you longer and doing or performing at their best.
sure. Sure. Beautifully put. So, Malika, this brings us to the last question for today, which is if someone wants to start elevating their leadership performance today, what's one habit that they should adopt immediately?
So one habit. Actually, I got many for you, but uh, I would say start with a 5 minute ritual. I call this WHOOP method. Um, the idea here is um, the first step to do this 5 minute ritual is actually calm your nervous system. Because every time you're in that stress, you'll actually see that your body is bracing for impact, right? It feels the threat. So that means there's tightness in your chest and your muscles. There is tightness in your stomach, or you feel the butterflies and the shoulders are braced. Your breath becomes short. So I always start all my reset processes with this breath work. Actually, there is neuroscience research that shows that the simple breathing pattern or simply changing it can immediately reset your nervous system from stress to relax. That is, from survival to thrive. Because unless that shift happens, you will not be able to move forward. So simply by inhaling twice like that, and then exhaling through your mouth, a long exhale, and repeating it like this. And repeating this 3 to 5 times, it actually immediately makes a lot of difference to your um, nervous system. It calms you down. If you can do it for 10 inhales and exhales, that's even fantastic. And from time to time, you need to do this. when I give this exercise to my clients, they say that, um, first of all, they don't always remember doing it, but when they do, they realize that I didn't realize I was holding my chest and I was holding my breath all that while. Have you ever experienced that? When you're working in a very stressful environment, you actually tend to hold your breath and you're working, isn't it?
Yes.
So, the first step I would tell anybody is whenever you're feeling that stress coming over, or like I explained to you, take a 57 minutes work time and then take a 5 to 10 minute break. The first step is just to sit down, breathe, and relax your body. The moment you do this breathing technique, you'll actually see your shoulders drop, your chest feels a little lighter, and then you breathe better. Now, then I would say the begin the WOOP method. WOOP, basically WOOP. W stands for your wish. What is that you wish to? For example, try this method when you're getting into a high stakes meeting, right? The first thing you will do is you will breathe and calm your nervous system. Second, you will write down. The first one of the WOOP is wish. What is do I wish from this entire meeting, right? The second one is the outcome. The O stands for outcome. What outcome do I want out of this meeting? And that is you're setting your intention very clear.
Right.
And then you write, what is the obstacle I see in this process? Maybe you will say that, okay, I will not be invited to have this conversation, or people will not support this topic, or there's going to be resistance from so and so, or there could be something else, a technical thing that might be thrown into the mix. So the moment you sit down and prepare yourself and write down those obstacles, it becomes a little easier. I call this brain dump. So it is now messing in your head. The moment you write it down, you're putting it on the paper. The moment you have it very clearly, then it actually calms down your anxiety. The next one is your plan. You need to write your plan of action in this process, how you're going to navigate this, and how you're going to overcome those obstacles and get the outcome. And while all this happening, what is your wish? What kind of feelings and emotions you want to experience? So you set yourself up for it. And I give this to my clients all the time. It's one of the most effective ways, and it is backed by science, and this tool will help you achieve your goals because it moves intention into implementation. So, 5 minutes, two actions. One is to do the breath work to calm your body, the other is to prime your brain to look at it objectively and achieve your goal with a plan.
Sure. Thank you so much. Beautifully summarized as well, Malika. The WOOP framework is a great takeaway. So thank you so much. This brings us to the end of this masterclass. Thank you so much for your insights. And my takeaway from this is that high performance isn't just about doing more, it's about doing what matters. So thank you so much for bringing light to such an important topic. And I'm sure our listeners are going to greatly benefit from this.
My pleasure. I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you so much. We meet next time, Malika. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah.